Phala Phala report will only be handed over at the end of the month now, but it will actually make it to Parliament for debate before the end of the year. Parliament was due to rise on the 1st of December, but has now extended the programme of its House to the 6th of December, particularly to accommodate this report. An independent review is headed by Justice Sandile Ngobo that is tasked with deciding if there are grounds for impeachment based on the theft and suspected cover-up at the President's Phala Phala game farm in February 2020. Let's discuss all of this now with political analyst Professor Dirk Kotze from Unisa in Pretoria. Professor, thank you so much for joining us. Sure, the President is 70 today. He's got a lot on his plate and it's not as sweet tasting as cake. Interesting move from Parliament that they've actually extended their sitting to the 6th specifically to accommodate that. Do you see that as quite unprecedented?
Yes, I do think so. The fact that they have now accommodated the pressure coming from mainly from the opposition parties for this to happen is certainly unprecedented. It also goes beyond the rules of for the implementation of Section 94, which in itself is also unprecedented, because the same rules apply, for example, to the process that's at the moment unfolding with the public protector. So I think in that sense, we are in completely new ground, and it is, I think, for everyone a way of trying to find their feet or finding their direction with respect to this.
Is it likely to have an impact on the elective conference? What do you know of the process? We know that the deadline's been extended to the 30th of November. It's going to be debated in Parliament on the 6th. Do they take a vote? How is it all going to work, or is it not clear yet?
No, it is very clear in the rules, and that is that this report is handed over by this panel of 3 to the Speaker, and then the Speaker must present it to the National Assembly, and this is what we will then see on the 6th of December. They will debate it, and then there will be a vote. There will be a vote by the 400 members or those who are present there, and the vote is taken by a simple majority of 50% plus 1. So it means that the different parties are going to, depending on what obviously is recommended and what is the tone of this report, will debate it, but ultimately the Speaker will bring it to a vote. And then I think my expectation is that parties will vote in terms of party blocks. We've seen that also in the past, for example, when the motions of no confidence were voted on. And in that sense, it will be very similar to a motion of no confidence. And with the ANC having 57% of the members of Parliament, they are the ones who will determine what will be the outcome of this. And it's most likely, I think, given the current political climate, the fact that the ANC is so close to the national conference, that the vote will most possibly be not to continue with this process, and therefore that will bring this whole process to an end after this vote.
In Parliament, but isn't there also an investigation by the Hawks, the public protector, as well? So if they find something, couldn't that revive this?
Yes, it will be, but I think we have to be careful what to expect from this report. This report is it's not an investigative report. It's a report that's based on the evidence that have been presented to them, mainly by the ATM, the African Transformation Forum, who proposed this motion. And then on the basis of the 3 elements listed in Section 94, on the basis on which impeachment procedures can be established in Parliament. So the responsibility of this panel is to say whether that information that were presented by them, plus then and the response by President Ramaphosa himself, to what extent are there grounds for that in that evidence in order to meet the charges against him, and that is based on those 3 elements or 3 types of charges in Section 94, and that's it, nothing else. There's nothing about, for example, to say that there's grounds for criminal investigation. Nothing of that. It is simply whether there is enough reason to start with the process in Parliament and to establish a multi-party parliamentary committee, like now the one with the public protector, in order to investigate it. So it's a preliminary process to say, will Parliament waste its time with this, or is there sufficient reason to believe that there is substance in this for this process? That is what we can expect from this report.
And as you say, it's highly likely, given that it is sort of preliminary and isn't particularly investigative, or isn't investigative at all, that the ANC will vote as a bloc, as parties do in Parliament, with a 57% majority, and that will be the end of that. Or will it? What are the other avenues for potential Phala Phala stuff to emerge?
Well, that is, as you referred to, the public protector's investigation is ongoing. The work done by the Walks, the investigation by the Reserve Bank, all those still have to have some form of outcome, some form of reports or results that will come out. And that depends all on what that will be. But I think if there is an expectation that we are going to see a major revelation and a decision before the ANC's conference that starts on the 16th of December, it's highly unlikely that that will happen.
To what extent, in your view, has this process weakened the president as he goes into this elective conference?
I don't think it's going to affect him in the conference itself, because it looks like there's an overwhelming majority of nominations in favor of him from the branches. But it is more about his relationship with the South African public and with what is going to happen afterwards. I think the Phala Phala affair has undermined his integrity and his sense of credibility in the public's eye. And that's something that he will have to rebuild if he survives all of this quite dramatically. It will be possibly for the rest of his term, the next 5 years as ANC president at least, that will be his main challenge of how to restore his integrity and the sense of credibility that he enjoys amongst the ANC as well as the public in general. So it's not so much about whether it is there's criminal charges against him, or whether that has been now, with the vote in Parliament, come to an end or not. Think, for example, about similar impeachment processes in the case of President Clinton, President Trump, and several other presidents all over the world. They survived these processes, but they had to rebuild their reputation and their credibility in their own countries very much. And that is, I think, what is going to face President Ramaphosa to a large extent.
Thank you so much for chatting to us this evening. Political analyst Professor Dirk Kotze in Pretoria from the University of South Africa.